Good morning. It's a beautiful day. We've had a few really nice days. It's supposed to get hot at the end of the week here, but for right now, man, it is just gorgeous. Sunshine, supposed to be mid to upper 70s, I think. It's beautiful. Brock should be here in a little bit today, and we've got some spraying to do with the that little sprayer behind the 7520. So we got to get our mower unhooked. So I'm gonna go do that. Oh, I forgot to film it for you, but check it out, our tractor started. It was a little sluggish, but it started. Done. All right. I want to change the monitor in here. That 1800 display worked, but not well. So I have other displays we can put in there. We're going to put something different in there. Morning, Brock.
Morning.
Brock got our monitor out of the AR to put in this. We'll let him do that. And we're going to change the PTO shaft. Because the mower uses the 1000 RPM, the sprayer uses the 540. So we just take that snap ring off, pull this out, flip it around, and push it back in. And I gotta hold it and put that snap ring back on, and it's a little more difficult than one-handed operation. So kind of like that. Okay, so that's in. Brock got the monitor in, so we should be able to go hook up to our sprayer now. Okay, so we're using that new Gen 4 monitor. I've got that pretty well programmed and where it needs to be. I think everything's hooked up good there. So we should be good to go with our sprayer. Brock cleaned the filter out on it because, well, when we sprayed that manganese, the paper bags that stuff comes in were kind of disintegrating, and you get some chunks in there occasionally. The filter catches that, so that is good. We have to change our plumbing back over here to get rid of this 3-inch suction line that we were using to load the big sprayer, and put the 2-inch pump back in. So we got that there, and Brock's getting that all put back together so we can load this, because this one doesn't load itself like the big sprayer does. I think we're ready. See if our pump starts. You gotta push the choke over there all the way. There you go. So we're gonna just fill this up. 500 gallons would be like 38 acres worth. I don't know if we have that much that really needs to be sprayed, but we'll use it up somewhere. So we are using a different glyphosate today. We drained that shuttle yesterday, so this is what we've got now. We've got 100 gallons of this Mad Dog 5.4. Again, it's a generic, but it's higher concentration, 53.8, 54% glyphosate instead of, or the salt that's in it, instead of 41% like the other stuff we were using yesterday, which means we use a lower rate. So instead of a quart to the acre, 32 ounces, we use 22 ounces per acre. And so we're gonna mix that up. We need about 6 gallons to spray 38 acres, or 6.5. So, while that water's pumping, we need to add in our water conditioning agent, remember, to keep it from tying up the Roundup. So we're going to use our mix cone right here since we don't have any ductor on the sprayer. And we're going to pour that in first, and then we'll pump our Roundup into there, and it'll suck it right into the sprayer for us. Okay, we got her all loaded up. We're going to head to the field here. I'm going to help Brock get started, show him what I want him to do, and let him have at it. Oh, it's not pretty, guys. It's not pretty. But we should be able to kill most of these ragweeds. This is not ideal. I do not want ragweeds to ever get this tall. It's been raining for 3 weeks and we haven't been able to get out here. This is, remember where we sprayed with the drone? This is that field, and right out there, all got sprayed. He didn't do between the poles and the road or real close to the ditch. And that's what the whole field would have looked like had we not done it. So that's why we're out here spraying these. It's not ideal. You want to kill weeds before they get 4 inches tall, let alone 4 feet tall, but it's what we've got, so it's what we're going to deal with, and there's just nothing we could have done. So yeah. Now I know that some places deal with Roundup resistant. Oh jeez.
You taught me that one.
As I was saying, I know some places deal with Roundup resistant ragweeds. We are fairly fortunate here that we have not had too much problem with that yet. Now doing this is probably not a good way to keep from having Roundup resistant ragweed, but we did put residual on here. This will be corn next year and get corn residual herbicides, which are completely different from the bean residual herbicides, and we won't overlap that Roundup after Roundup over and over again. Next year we probably won't spray any of this with Roundup because the corn chemistry does a lot better job than the bean chemicals do. So I get it. You can save your speech for telling me how bad of a steward that I am, because I already am aware. Are you gonna do it, Brock?
Yeah.
You gonna do it? Brock's gonna get stuck with me sitting and riding with him. No. I don't think you should do that. I think you should stay on the edge. Yeah. Just keep moving. Keep moving. You can't just slow down. Yeah, those beans are toast. Got a little bit of velvet leaf out here. That's the other weed that sometimes we fight, but that one's pretty easy to control and not nearly as severe as the giant ragweed is. So anyway, Brock's taking me back to the gator, which is somewhere over there, and I'm gonna let him go to town here, have fun. Let's see, you've got 4 acres done, 10%. There you go. All right, well, we're back to the gator. There was a section, our center section wasn't spraying, the solenoid wasn't opening, so we had to run back to the farm and get a new one, or a used one we had on the shelf, and I changed that out. So he should be good now. So we're gonna let Brock go and keep spraying. And yeah, this is one of those jobs that you can just let somebody go and do. And yeah, he's gonna run some beans over, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna get the weeds, and yeah, he'll have fun with it. Well, while Brock's spraying, I'm gonna mix a little bit more Roundup up in the gator sprayer here so that we can keep going around some field edges. Really, I was gonna go scout, and I thought, well, I better take some Roundup with me because I'll find some spots that I want to spray. So I got a couple more fields I want to check, some soybeans, and see if we've got more white mold coming or not. Not that there's anything I can do about it, or that I'll feel better when I find it, but at least I'll know. Well, here's the field I wanted to come and scout. We need to get down here with a mower, just make a pass along the edge again. Well, from here the beans look okay. We need to walk out there a little bit. So the river runs right through here. This field did not get sprayed with a fungicide because I was concerned about it being flooded back here in this low ground. Doesn't look to be too terrible, but I didn't know if we'd get through it right after the rain we had, and then I ran out of product before I got here. I probably should spray this one, or should have, but it's not going to happen now. So just taking a look, I see one dead plant here. Yep, there's some white mold right there. So it's here. It doesn't look as bad as some of those other fields. There's another one. That is so disappointing. Yeah, you can see where there was mud up on the leaves there. We definitely had standing water in this field. Like I said, there is some white mold. It does not look as bad as where we were earlier last week, I guess that was. The beans look pretty good. These are a little bit fuller season bean. They look like they're just ready to spray now anyway. Ugh. One, two, three, four. Yeah, that's the fourth node. The pods. It's the right time right now. But I don't have any more fungicide, and I don't feel like buying any. So this is going to be our test field, I guess. Curious to see about aphids. There are some. There are a few on that leaf. There are a cluster of them right there at the base of this leaf. Oh gosh, I don't want to spray all these beans again for aphids. It's not looking great. Well, I mean, the beans are looking great, but we may not be done in the sprayer yet. All right, well, I did a little spraying, cleaning up the edge there on the way back up to the road. Brock just called me. He thinks he's done where he's been spraying. Said he did about 23 acres, which means he's got about 15 acres worth of chemical left on the sprayer. So I'm gonna meet him up at the one of the double crop fields, and we'll spray it out up there. road that was flooded last week is no longer flooded. We can go through it. That's good. All right, so here's our double crop bean field. I sprayed some of this yesterday. It was where we finished up, and I ran out with the big sprayer. There is about 2 rounds with the big sprayer, so 3 rounds with this little sprayer that I did not get before we get to the windrows. And so he's not going to probably get it all, but he's just going to run it out. So we had to line up with the south edge of the field to set a guidance line, and then he's going to skip 3 passes, hit the 4th one. That should line up right with where the outside of the big sprayer was. I don't have guidance line coverage map sharing stuff, especially with this tractor, and so where is he going? He should be right here. Hi, man, I tell you what. Oh, he's got a clogged nozzle. We got to fix that. All right, we got him stopped. Okay, so back to the farm here. Brock's going to unhook that sprayer because, well, we're done with it for a few days anyway, and we got some mowing that needs to be done, so I want to keep that mower moving, so he's going to hook that back up. I'm going to transfer some data. I need the spray data from that we just did. I need the spray data off of the big sprayer, and I don't have the double crop bean planting records yet. So we're gonna get all of that stuff and get it uploaded to my John Deere so I have good records. And then we'll figure out where to go from there. All right, he's got the mower hooked back up. We gotta change the PTO shaft yet. I did not. He didn't change that, so we'll pull up to the barn and swap it back and get the PTO hooked up, and then the mower's good to go. I gave him instructions on where to go and get some stuff done. And I got the data off of that display. I got the data out of the 8300, and we're gonna go get the stuff off of the sprayer. All right, Brock's off mowing, so we're gonna scout some beans. I'm gonna start out here in the plot. This is where I kind of first noticed the aphid populations were climbing when we were out here on Friday walking stuff, so let's see how much different it is now. Oh yeah, I'll give you guys an update on the house progress here this afternoon too. A couple of you asked about that on this morning's video, so gosh dang, these beans are tall, waist high, they're beautiful, they look fantastic. Ooh, here's something. See how this leaf right here is kind of half folded over? We got a little sunburn on it. You can see just that part that was folded over, that's a sun scald. Not really anything to worry about. This one's got a little bit on the backside too. I don't see a ton of other leaf feeding. There's a little Japanese beetle holes, but for the most part they look pretty good. Now let's find relatively new trifoliate, and I don't see any aphids on that one, so that's good. How about this one? There's one. One is not a problem. Well, there's another one. 2 is not a problem. 100 or 200 is a problem. So I'm going to look around a little bit here. All right, starting to find a few more here. So I pulled this plant out. I'm going to take it up here to the gator, and we're going to count all of the aphids on this entire plant. Most of them are on the upper top, newest, tenderest leaves, but occasionally you get some on the stems and pods and some of the older leaves. So we're going to go through this one piece by piece and count them all. Unfortunately, they're really small and hard to pick up on the camera, so I don't know if I'll be able to show them to you. I might get my magnifying lens, and then I should be able to give you a little bit better picture of them. Oh, it's worse than I thought. There was 162 that I found on that plant. There's probably more than that, but I counted 162. Oh man. All right. Soybean aphids. Let's talk about soybean aphids. Okay, well, I just did a little quick reading on Iowa State's website about soybean aphids as a refresher, because it's been a long time since we've dealt with this, but pretty much what I remember. So, soybean aphids are, they reproduce extremely quickly. So they actually have 2 different reproduction cycles, I guess, or ways that they reproduce. Right now, what we are dealing with, I can't even remember the term that they called it, or I couldn't pronounce it if I could. But essentially, every aphid out here is a female. They give live birth, and they're born pregnant. So once an aphid gives live birth, and it said it could birth 3 to 8 aphids per day, those then within 7 to 10 day window will start giving birth to their own young, I guess, aphids, and like I said, they're born pregnant. There are no males. They don't need males right now to just reproduce and clone themselves, more or less, which means that populations explode rapidly. So the temperatures being hot will slow them down. It is supposed to get hot towards the end of the week here. Hot enough, or is there too many of them out here already? That's a tough call. I'm not sure. But once it gets above 82 or 85 degrees, aphids slow down. So what they do is they have a sucking mouth part where they actually suck the sap from the soybean plants. A handful of them is not something to be concerned about, especially when we're as wet as we are and our soybeans are growing as fast as they are, and there's enough sap or juice in the plants to go around. If we turn dry, that they are a huge stressor on the plant, or if the population gets high enough. The economic threshold is 250 aphids per plant. 160 something, we're not there yet, but we're awfully close, and as fast as they reproduce, there might be 250 on that plant tomorrow. And so I think we have to spray. I don't want to spray. I think we have to. And that's a bummer. We're going to keep scouting, look at some more fields, see if they're all this way, or see if this is an isolated thing. It's not, but we're going to look anyway. And yeah, the problem is aphids have a very good natural predator. Asian ladybugs, or just ladybugs in general. They love eating aphids, but they're not keeping up. I haven't seen a single ladybug out here today. I have seen a few around, but there's not enough. And the problem with spraying these aphids is that we're going to kill all the ladybugs with them. Which means if some of the aphids come back, then they have no natural predators and their population explodes again. And the last thing we want to do is have to spray for them twice. So then the question becomes, what do we use for an insecticide? Do we use the cheap stuff that's going to knock them all down but have very little residual? Do I use the expensive stuff that's going to knock them down and stick around for 3 weeks? Is that long enough? And at what growth stage is it no longer economically viable or advantageous to spray for aphids? All lessons we're going to learn this year, I think. All right, so we're going to look at this field here, see what we've got for aphid populations. I'm probably not going to pull a whole plant apart like I just did right now. Just want to see how many I find quickly and then say, oh, there's probably 3 times that many out here. But I want to look at some of our early maturing beans and early planted beans and see what we find. So, yeah, these beans don't look too bad right here. This is the one in field. This is that first field that I found white mold in. You don't see any right here. That's good. Well, there's some. That plant's dying of it. Maybe. I don't see the mold down here, but... All right, let me look. Well, there's easily 50 on this plant, probably more. Like I said, I didn't count them. I'm trying to get my camera to focus. There you can kind of see them on the back of that leaf. That one's got the most of any leaf, but they're all over. Even the pods. There's one on that pod right there. Come on, focus. There's a bunch on this pod. They're there. Bad enough. All right, next field we're going to look at. This is my field with my March planted soybeans. I want to look at the March beans, and I want to look at the 2.2 maturity beans that are next to them, because they should be some of my farthest along. That will be easier to tell if maybe they're past the point where they need to be sprayed and we don't have to worry about them. Somehow I doubt it. Huh. I only found one on that plant. Explain that. I have no idea. I think these are the 2.2s. Yeah, I'm kind of right on the line. The March beans and the April planted beans. I don't get it. I also don't see any white mold out here. Maybe white mold and aphids are tied together. They're not. But maybe. Oh, there's some. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 on that little trifoliate. I mean, that's not a ton, but how many was on the rest of the plant? I don't know. We're going to need to find more out here to justify spraying this, but I I have a feeling we're going to spend a lot of time in the sprayer yet. Well, I walked another 50 feet, pulled this plant, and there's 56 aphids on it that I counted. And I, again, didn't really tear it apart to find them all. So they're out here just as much, I would say. Not good. All right. Let me go back up to the farm, grab my magnifying lens for my camera, and then we'll go to a field that's a little farther away. See if any geography, you know, not that a couple of miles is a big difference, but sometimes you never know, it could make that big of a difference. Okay, this field of beans was one of the very first that we sprayed a fungicide on. These are 2.2 maturity beans, and you can see we've got bigger pods up here on the top, but not fat, thick, full pods, which would be kind of, I think, our cutoff of when we would say we probably don't need to spray for aphids anymore. So let me see what we got. Okay, I found 84 on there without thoroughly counting, but I did bring my little magnifying lens. Let's see if I can show them to you a little better. Well, there's one. You can see they're just little green brown bugs, and I'm sure if you could see a different angle in his mouth under there, you'd see him sucking the juices right out of the plant. They're pretty slow movers. Some generations, when they get crowded or the beans are no good anymore, or they've sucked the life out of them, they will have generations that have wings, and then they fly to other plants or other fields or all of that. There is a mama and 3 of her babies. That's on a pod, so it's a little hard to focus on. But yeah, that's what happens. You get a big one, then they have a baby, and you get lots of little ones in a hurry. There's another set. We got another bug here. It's that guy. So we were just looking at those ones, that group on that pod, and then that one on that leaf. More aphids here. Well, look at all of these aphids on the stem there. Yeah, they're loaded. Got a bunch on these pods. Whew. This is probably the worst plant that I have found yet. I mean, they're on the pods, they're in the stems, they're on the leaves, there's a bunch on a stem. I mean, there might be 250 on that plant right now. All right, well, I'm gonna keep looking a little bit, but I think for the purposes of this video, I've established that we have aphids. The aphids do overwinter here. They do not always fly in. We have not had a significant aphid problem in 15 years probably. Back in the early 2000s, it was an every other year problem. Like I said, they have a natural predator in the Asian ladybugs. And so it seemed like one year we would have a really high aphid population, the ladybug population would explode, and then the next year there would be a ton of ladybugs and the aphids would be kept at bay. But the ladybugs would die off, and then we just flip-flop. For 3 or 4 years that was the case, until all of a sudden we didn't have aphids anymore, or at least not significant. I think it was 2005 was our worst year, where we had to spray everything and they were thick, and it caught us off guard and we lost a bunch of yield because of it. So we're trying to not let that happen again. Given that it's the 3rd of August, we're plenty early that this is going to get out of hand. We've got to do something about it. Is what it is. So like I said, I'm going to go keep looking around a little bit, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Well, we have aphids. They're everywhere. They're not as thick everywhere as other places, but we have aphids everywhere. So we're going to have to talk to Dad, but I think we're going to start spraying. I may even go do a load tonight yet. I don't know. Let's do a house update. A lot is happening right now. Not a lot of changes up here, I don't think, since the last time that we talked. They basically got all the drains in for the plumbing. They've got some copper taps that their PEX will hook up to for all the faucets and everything. So that's good. They brought the fireplace in, but have not yet installed that. Today we had the insulation guys here briefly. They did a little bit of spray foaming. Mostly just where the tubs are going to go, because the tubs go directly to the wall with no drywall, and those are actually in the garage, so they can get those installed here real fast, probably tomorrow, I would assume. And yeah, they got a little bit of the insulation in. We've also got a pile of concrete tools because they're going to pour our front porch here pretty soon. They got that formed up yesterday. Wasn't sure when they were coming to pour it yet, but that's a small pour that will go relatively quickly. They have been busy working in the basement. Yesterday they put up this, they call it staple up, but it's the in-floor heat for the master bathroom. We've got that to heat the floors. And they've got the rest of the drain line installed. They're installing the water lines. Those are the mains that come all the way down here. And then we've got some ductwork stuff starting to go up. You can see they got a bunch of ductwork sections setting there. And they got the furnace installed a couple of days ago, which is awesome. So, yeah. That's all good things. It's progress. All right, I should go spray for aphids, but I want to talk to Dad first and just, yeah, make sure we're all on the same page before I do that. So, I'm going to be gone the next 2 days for a meeting down in Columbus, Golden Harvest meeting. My lawn needs mowed, so I'm going to go do that before I go home tonight. All right, well, I did a little mowing. I was waiting for Dad to come back so I could talk to him, and finally called him because it's 6:30 and he's still in Berkey, so I'm going home. But we talked about stuff a little bit. We're going to spray. That's what we got to do. All right, so I'm on my way home. Tomorrow, Maddie and I, my wife and I, are going to Columbus for Golden Harvest kickoff meeting, like I said. Staying there tomorrow night, so we'll be back Thursday, late morning probably. I don't think there's really much I can film tomorrow. We're going to be here to start. I don't have to be down there until noon, so we've got a meeting at our house with the electrician. We're going to go through some stuff there tomorrow, and then heading south from there. So I'm going to probably try and make one video for both tomorrow and Thursday and combine it a little bit. We'll see. I just don't know that I have much to film or will be able to film. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll see you guys again here later in the week. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'm sure you're getting tired of me spraying. It looks like you're going to have to watch a lot more of it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't want to do it, but we have to.